Kia ora, and welcome to Friday's Economy Watch, where we follow the economic events and trends that affect Aotearoa. I'm David Chaston, and this is the international edition from interest.co.nz. And today we lead with news of little progress in renewed US-Iran peace talks. They seem to have descended into talks about extending the ceasefire rather than resolving any issues. The Strait of Hormuz is still essentially closed. Complicating the oil supply picture is that US crude inventories fell by 9.1 million barrels last week, far exceeding analysts' expectations for a modest 154,000 barrel increase. This is actually a big deal and has driven the oil price higher today. In the US, initial jobless claims rose to 214,000 last week, but not as high as seasonal factors would have indicated. There are now 1.89 million people on these benefits, less than at this time last year, but more than 2 years ago. But American industrial production fell in March from February, its first fall in 4 months. That makes it only 0.7% higher than a year ago and hardly a surge in reshoring. If it wasn't for the growth of AI centers and the electricity required to run them, this would have been a very disappointing result, and it probably is for most companies. That said, the latest update from the Philadelphia Fed's factory survey was quite positive in April, driven by good growth in new orders. Of course, they are measured in nominal dollars, and these firms reported notable rises in inflation for both costs and prices. In China, new home sales across 70 key cities fell 3.4% in March from a year ago, a minor worsening from the 3.2% decline in February. That was the 33rd straight month of contraction and the steepest drop since May 2025. Pre-owned home sales fell harder, although for the first time in a while, some key cities recorded month-on-month rises in prices. And China said its first quarter 2026 GDP expansion was up 5%, and better than the 4.8% expected, and the official target of about 4.5%. And its industrial output was up 5.7% in March, they said. But their retail sales only grew 1.7%, which would have been disappointing for them because they really need a better rise in internal demand. All the good data reported is somewhat undermined by their data that shows electricity production fell again and for a fourth month, up just 1.4% from March 2025. Australia's March labour report was pretty tame. Employment rose by 17,900, about the 20,000 expected, and the number of unemployed people fell by 4,000 in the month. The unemployment rate remained steady at 4.3%. Full-time employment increased by 52.5% to 10.1 million people, while part-time employment decreased by 34,500 to 4.59 million people. The expected inflation rate in Australia rose by 0.7 percentage points in April to 5.9%. It was 5.2% in March. The sharp rise in April reflects the recent spike in oil prices and makes it its highest since November 2022. In contrast, wage change expectations have remained unchanged for the past 5 months. In Australia, the big fire at the Geelong Victoria refinery, one of only 2 in the country, has major implications for Australia's fuels. They will need to import more from a global system already strained with demands on it. The other refinery is the Ampol one in Brisbane. Talk of needing emergency fuel measures, especially in Victoria, are growing. And global container freight rates dipped 3% last week from the prior week to be little change from a year ago, but bulk cargo freight rates rose 16% last week and are almost double what they were at this time last year. Global travel rose 4.1% in 2025 according to new research, with 80 million people on the move. But they're increasingly avoiding the US, where visitor numbers fell 5.5%. The main gainer is China, where visitor numbers rose 9.9%, and it is predicted to eclipse the US as the main global destination at this rate in 3 years. It is a fast reversal. The US Treasury 10-year yield is now just on 4.31%, up 3 basis points from yesterday, and the price of gold will start today little change, down just $5 at $4,488 an ounce. Silver is down 50 cents at $78.50 an ounce. American oil prices are up $2.50 though, at just over $95 a barrel, while the international Brent price is up $4, now at $99.50 a barrel. And the Kiwi dollar is down 20 basis points from yesterday at 58.9 US cents. Against the Aussie, we're also down 20 basis points at 82.2 Australian cents. Against the euro, we're down 10 basis points at just on 50 euro cents. That all means our trade weighted index starts today also down 20 basis points from yesterday at just over 62.2. And the Bitcoin price starts today at $74,361 and up 0.2% from yesterday. Volatility over the past 24 hours has been modest, just on plus or minus 1.5%. You can get more news affecting the economy in New Zealand from interest.co.nz. Kia ora, I'm David Chaston, and we'll do this again on Monday.